guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on our YouTube account and we are continuing our tier list breakdown. In today's video, we're going to be looking at our Hypogean heroes. Overall, a very unique faction within AFK Arena. We're going to run through the tier list that I created, then we're going to go through the actual build within the heroes themselves, kind of give you a little bit of feedback that I've kind of seen with the this specific section of heroes and how to kind of build them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the tier list. All right, guys, so here we have the tier list. Now looking at it, the first thing you will notice is there's not really any Hypogean heroes that are not used for some sort of AFK Arena, some different part, which again, we're gonna kind of break down. So looking and starting with our priority heroes, guys, Lucretia is the biggest priority. Honestly, within AFK Arena, she is probably the highest priority hero when you start getting it built. The big reason is when you look at Ainz is very reliant on Albedo. When you look at Lucretia can do it by herself, guys. Ainz very, very strong. As we're starting to get into late game, end game, he has fallen off. I don't even use him anymore. Lucretia is still carrying formations incredibly well, guys, by herself. Meaning she doesn't need a team to be around her. If you have someone to buff her, then die, that is fine. But she amplifies her damage with heroes that die within the formation. Second one, we look at a Zolrath. Now, Zolrath was a very key part of the Charizard formation, but since has kind of branched off into a bunch of different formations. We've seen him with Leonardo da Vinci and Raku. We've seen him in a bunch of different formations. He does an incredible amount of damage when you do have him built. And also with the new Wilder that came out, guys, he is going to further do damage. We have to figure out exactly how she is going to be a game changer within AFK Arena. Now, looking at buff and support, Mortis is the primary buffer for the faction. He will provide a buff regardless of his build. So as long as you do have him, guys, he doesn't need a signature item. He doesn't need furniture, doesn't need engraving. Now, while they do help with the survivability issues that we do see, ultimately, he does not really need any of those to have the exact same greed buff that goes up on Lucretia or Ainz, whatever damage dealing hero you do put him in a formation with. He doesn't have to be built. One single copy will do well. When he starts dying out, you do want to build him up a little bit, similar to what we see with the twins. If he's not lasting long enough in a formation to buff the entire team, again, you might want to build him out a little bit further. Now, looking at Aziz, he is a support. The original version of Aziz is a support hero. A lot of players do utilize him for the energy battery that he has. Some use him for the attack rating reduction, and some also do use him for the crowd control aspect. With the feeble mind, enemies can't ult when they're going to him, so he has the ability to group up enemies. He actually targets the enemy that is furthest away. They walk towards him. He uniquely kind of stacks enemies, so he plays a buff role in multiple facets, as well as the support with the attack rating reduction. Very solid hero to build. Is still used in quite a few, including the Cursed Realm and Twisted Realm. We still see him with some pretty decent utility, even though he is a much older hero. Now, looking at formations, guys, we have Mahira and we have Khazard. Now, Mahira is another hero that will work regardless of how well you build her. Her Mesmerize effect will have the same duration until you build up Khazard, and Khazard gets that plus 30 signature item. That will amplify the duration of her Mesmerize effect, which makes the Charizard actually work. Without Khazard, it's a little bit more difficult to build out the Charizard or Mahira to work. Even if you're running her with Rosaline, it does take a little bit more to actually get the formation or get her ultimate abilities to work because they don't have the extended duration with the Charizard. Now, one thing with this formation, guys, Mythic is as far as you really have to get it. Mythic for Khazard's signature item is plus 30 signature item. Plus 20 on Mahira will work. Plus 30 is, of course, ideal. We'll talk about it in just a minute. So looking at the niche heroes, guys, this is kind of an interesting lineup. So ultimately, within the Hypogean Tower, you're using one hero alone, which is Lucretia, until you get into two teams. When you do get into multiple teams, the second team is the Charizard. That is really the only heroes that players are using. You can actually mess it up considerably if you do build them out a little bit further because they won't die as easy, meaning Lucretia does not get buffs, or the Charizard will have heroes that are not dying. Now, looking at the niche, again, First one we have is the Awakened version of Aziz. He only needs to be legendary, guys. You only need one single copy of him, and he will work with the crowd control. That is why players build him out. That is why he exists within the game. If you build him out again, you can kind of throw off some of the damage within the tower because of him actually surviving. Now, Frampton is in the invade team, which could put him in the formations, but a majority of players do not have him built. And if you do have him built, you know he does work pretty well, but it requires a 30960 investment, which again, a lot of players do not have. We see him in the cursed realm sometimes, but that is really it. As far as campaign progression, I don't really see him very much within formations. I actually don't use him almost not at all, short of probably the cursed realm, which is why I put him in the niche category. Doesn't seem like he really found much of a place, which is the same with Leofric. Now, a lot of players on PvP, he was doing really well. I'm not sure how effective or how much he is used within PvP anymore, but there are some niche formations that I guess you could put him in. It could move him possibly down to the not used, but I know a lot of players say that he is really solid, which is similar to Valoris. Now, Valoris came out, guys. She does an incredible amount of damage. Again, a very expensive build like Frampton, and most of the Celestials and Hypogean heroes follow that exact same vein where they are really expensive to build out. Now, with her specifically, guys, 30960, again, maximizing the damage that she's doing does require a significant investment. Now, looking at the PvP or the tower heroes, these heroes are very prevalent within PvP. Mizoth, we have Kinisa and Rook, and then we do have Zekus. Zekus could be, again, in the niche formation, but overall, guys, I haven't found a big use for him. Abyssal Expedition was really it, but again, a lot of players did run him in PvP. Now, because he is a ranger, it does require, again, a pretty significant investment to really amplify the damage that he's doing, which overall is interesting to see. I haven't really built him out or played with him that much, but a lot of players, again, that use him outside of PvP, not super effective. Now, Kinisa and Rook is a tank, is actually one of the newest heroes that we got, short of the Wilder. It seems like he is going to make a impact on the Cursed Realm comps, possibly the Twisted Realm comps. We'll have to see exactly where he comes in, but he has the ability to draw in and bring all of the heroes together, which is similar to the Awakened Brutus, or similar to what we see with like a Skarath to put everyone together, allowing them to amplify the damage because everybody is stacked. Then, of course, Mizoth, the giant meatball, he is used pretty much exclusively for PvP if they're still using him at all. He might even go, again, not into the not used category. He's a hero I do have built out on some accounts, have never really used him, have never really found a place for him. Pretty effective when it comes to the Battle of Blood, because I guess you got him built out with his crowd control. But overall, guys, again, I don't really see a huge draw utility-wise to put a big investment into him. And we also do have the issues with tanks dying out pretty early within an AFK arena. So let's hop over to the account, guys, and see how we're building these out. All right, so just like the other videos, we're going to run through the builds, guys. First, of course, starting with Lucretia, which was the highest priority. You want her max her out, guys. 30960, absolutely a priority. One of the very, very first heroes you want to max out. You could even take her higher, guys, if you're taking her past the plus 60, just due to the sheer stats. If you're taking her to the 80 for the PvP or the Treasure Scramble, she will reward you with how well she performs. Most players do take her a little bit higher, but I don't go past the 60 because it is the sheer cost gets astronomical when it comes to the amount of elemental cores you need to build them any higher. Again, 30960, absolutely one of the biggest priorities within AFK Arena is building out Lucretia, which followed by Zolrath. Now, Zolrath, guys, 3 of 9 furniture is an absolute hands-down requirement for him. It is what triggers his abilities to actually allow him to work. And again, as you're building him up, you want him built out with the plus 30 signature item because his damage ignores defense, which allows him to get really amplifies the damage that he does, which is the reason why in some, even in the Charizard formation, a lot of times he is the highest damage dealer within that formation, is building him out with the 303 really. But as you get a little bit further, guys, The attack speed goes up with the 9 of 9 furniture, which again goes right to the damage that he's producing. And then also here significantly increases the buff effect on attack rating. He puts out more damage. And then, of course, taking him a little bit further to plus 60, you're really adding on a lot more stats is the big thing there. But he does have an immunity to crowd control, which is very, very cool to see with the deja vu ability. But again, ultimately building him out, guys, the 303, probably 30 would be ideal, just kind of how I have him built here. Building him out to the 309, 30 does give him a lot more damage, which is where we kind of use him at. Now, looking at Aziz, this is the awakened version of Aziz, guys, and this is not where you want to build him by any means. I did make the mistake of building him when he was released. I would absolutely reset him in a moment if I did have the option to, if I could build another hero like Taylene, or even building out the awakened version of Solus. You only need one copy at Legendary is really all that you need here, guys. Again, not any drive or any reason to really build him out this high. Now, looking at Frampton, again, a hero that I built out considerably. He's a hero that does have to have 30960. He does have to be maxed out to really maximize the damage that he's doing in there, and also deal with the issues with the survivability, and also the Feast Flame with his blaze points. You have to accumulate them faster. That is where your damage is going to come in. If you're using him, guys, the invade team, he works incredibly well, but overall a lot of players just passed on him just for the simple fact they're so expensive to build when it comes to these specific heroes. Now, looking at Mahira again only has to be up to the mythic. Getting the plus 20 signature item works. Getting the plus 30 is better because energy is going to, of course, allow her to ult for that mesmerize ability. If at full health, any excessive healing effect will be converted into energy, which means she will ult more often with the plus 30. Don't need the furniture on her. This is not a big requirement at all. Do not need the engraving, so her just running the plus 30 signature item. Now, the regular version of Aziz, I like building him. Plus 20 is really where you'll start building him. I build him at the plus 30 because of the burn location. He can stack a bunch of different heroes kind of in the same place, which is good. And then, of course, guys, 9 of 9 on him works well because the Feeble Mind will do the farthest front line and back line. Again, you're looking for him for support. You're looking for him for buffing, and this will bring the heroes together, guys, is the 9 of 9. So the disruption to the formation, bringing them together, which is the reason if you don't have that 9 of 9 furniture, Cursed Realm is not going to be as effective bringing all of those targets together. Now, looking at Khazard, Mythic plus 30 signature item. Really the only thing you need for him, guys, is this plus 30 signature item to reduce all enemies dissolved by 60 points, which of course gives you at current rate a 60% duration extension to the negative debuffs on the enemies, which is the reason again why players build him. Now, I built him up a little bit more just for the possibility of the crowd control aspect that he has. Really lowers down the RNG a little bit, but the plus 30 signature item is really the biggest priority. And then I didn't engrave him, and I haven't engraved him at all. I don't have any really desire to. A lot of times in formations, he will just die right off of the bat, giving us still the duration for the extension. Now, looking at Mortis again, a hero that does not need to be built in any means. You don't need the signature item. You don't need the furniture on him. Ultimately, if he can utilize his ultimate ability, the empowerment to buff up the enemy or buff up the heroes, that is really all that you are utilizing Mortis for. Now, looking at Valoris, she is a hero, guys, that has to be built. Now, 30960 for her, maximizing the damage that she does, which is the big thing, guys. It is absolutely required. Her as a mage, as a caster, you have to build her out if you're going to use her. And again, it is 30960 to build her out, just for the simple fact, guys, of the damage that she's doing, and also this healing mitigation, or this 9 seconds of no healing. That is the same thing we see on Treznar. If they're in a cursed aura, they cannot heal, making it an absolute game changer for enemies that cannot heal within formations. Now, looking again at Leofric, the rest of them in here, guys, looking at Leofric, looking at Mizalth and Zekas, I'm going to hop over to their portraits just because, again, I don't have them really built. Leofric over here, guys, a lot of players have said really getting him to this plus 30 is pretty good. Enemy struck by the skill Hellworms receive 35% more damage from all attacks. This is going to be the damage amplification. Again, I don't know an incredible amount of players that actually use him, but building him out, all allies crit increased by 30% for a period. Again, I don't find him a priority. I don't see him in any Twisted Realm, Cursed Realm formations. I don't even see him built within the Hypogean Tower as of right now. So short of putting a signature item on him, he probably can go a little bit higher. But ultimately, guys, I don't have him built. I haven't utilized him. I'm pretty in the dark with him. Now, Zekas, again, he's a hero that we've seen in PvP in the Abyssal Expedition. Because he is a ranger class and because he is damage, the higher you build him out, the better he is going to perform. So when you start adding on the signature item with the plus 30 signature item, when you start stacking on the furniture, again, you're going to be amplifying the damage that he is doing. Even looking from the sheer stats of a plus 30 and a plus 60 engraving, absolutely, guys, to increase the damage, reduce the accuracy, and also to continue the debuffs that he does put out on enemies. And then, of course, we do have the two last ones, with one is Mizoth, again, as a tank. When you start getting into campaign, when you start getting into level deficiencies, the tanks get absolutely rolled over, which Mizoth is not an exception to that, guys. He does not possess an immunity. I know he does have a crowd control, but ultimately, building him out, guys, signature item, hero gains 500 energy points at the start of battle, plus 20, absolutely, which is good. Imprisoned enemies shall bear 50% of the damage that is intended for Mizoth. Again, it seems like he gets burned down pretty quick when I've seen him in formations. But if you really want to build him out, you're honestly going to have to build him when an enemy is slain by the skill Fiendish Negotiation, which again, this is very, very RNG because he has to be slain by the skill. Again, I would probably do maybe three, I'd say plus 30 signature item, probably 3 of 9 furniture. Ultimately, the engraving, guys, I wouldn't engrave him just for the simple fact of not having really the utility in there. And then, of course, Knisa and Rook pretty much already replaced any chance of Mizoth doing anything. Big thing with Knisa and Rook, guys, is building them out. You have to have that survivability aspect. So 309, absolutely. Then when you look at this, guys, the 30 in here does very, very well because he's going to be able to increase the defense and the attack until he reaches fatal damage. Of course, fatal damage, he is going to not die. He is going to go immune for a certain amount of time, which of course is one up on Mizoth right there. So building this out to get his attack and defense could ultimately rely on the survivability aspect of him. Then, of course, the defense reduction here, which is the reason why players are building him to the plus 60 engraving, is because of the defense reduction within formations up to 36%, which is pretty good. So Knisa and Rook, even though he's a tank, guys, 309.60 because he is going to be effective, and we've actually seen him considerably within the Twisted Realm or the Cursed Realm already, which is kind of crazy. But we'll have to see exactly where these heroes do fall in meta as they continue to kind of be built by more players and further utilized within different formations. All right, guys, so that'll do it for our Hypogean tier list. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.